American city 4 times by the National Municipal League. A local minister once dubbed it the Christian capital of the world. Beer and wine were available on Sunday, but first you had to find a grocer open on the Sabbath. Civic brochures promoted the ratio of 1 church for every 1,000 people. The city was the home of the Christian Reformed Church, the American outpost of Dutch Calvinism. The western side of Michigan was the state's Bible Belt. Inside the utility garage, the detectives directing the men with the sledgehammers were obsessed with a more earthly pursuit. The investigative process had proven as difficult as the burial seal. Questionable witnesses, elusive facts, and hidden agendas had dominated the inquiry. Perhaps the truth was inside the vault. Finally, gravediggers pried open the long concrete container with crowbars. As they wrestled the heavy top from the vault, the atmosphere of the garage quickly changed. They couldn't get the casket into the medical examiner's van soon enough. With a blast of exhaust, the van left behind the pungent, fleshy smell of death. Not a half hour later, the casket itself was opened in the autopsy room of a Grand Rapids hospital. Inside, the woman of 60 was dressed in a pink jacket and skirt, white ruffled blouse, brassiere, pantyhose, a slip, and shoes. Her blonde hair was highlighted with natural gray. It was still shaped from her final hairdressing. There was, however, a problem. Some in attendance at the post-mortem examination suspected as much when the vault seal was broken. Also, someone had heard something sloshing in the casket when it was carried into the hospital's autopsy room. The woman's final resting place had not been immune to disturbance. In the 22 months of her interment, water had somehow invaded the casket. Extensive mold in a surreal shade of blue-green clung to the woman's face, the back of her neck, and portions of her extremities. At 7 p.m., the search for answers began with the stainless cut of a pathologist's knife. Part 1, 1986. Chapter 1. I enjoyed taking care of those old people. Cathy Wood, December 29, 1989. For 5 days, she inhaled pure oxygen as antibiotics fought the infection that tried to steal away her breath. They wanted her comfortable. That was their overwhelming concern. She should have oxygen. She should have antibiotics if those helped. They didn't want any elaborate life support systems. Ma would not have wanted her life perpetuated by a mechanical device, they all agreed. That's where the Chambers family would draw the line. None would be drawn today. "She's strong as an ox, that Hollander," Ed Chambers said. Pop's right, Jan thought. Her age and her constitution, her stalwart Dutch blood. "Damned Hollanders," Pop always said, had pulled her through again. "You know, I'm feeling like she can conquer anything," Jan said. This she really wished. Jan searched her mother's face. Her cheeks were narrow without her dentures, but not gaunt. Her forehead was square and high, her nose upturned and well-proportioned. Her hair was the color of faded straw. That and her blue eyes affirmed her ancestral claim to the family names of de Boer and van der Sack. Jan spoke quietly. "Soon you'll be leaving. Soon you'll be out of the hospital, Mom." Jan looked again, not for color, but brightness, the gleam of recognition. Sometimes Jan could see that in her eyes. For months, charts like the one hanging at the foot of the hospital bed had differed only in the handwriting and perception of the nurses making the notes. Jan could recite the entries. Marguerite Chambers, age 60, Alzheimer's disease, incontinent of bowel and bladder, involuntary movement of arms, does not communicate. Or sometimes it read, unaware of her surroundings. Or, does not communicate except for added activity and facial expressions. The shape of her mother's body was a constant. Jan usually found her bent forward and inward on her back, or fetal on her side. Her clenched hands were positioned just below her chin. Together, both limbs moved rhythmically, as if she were suspended forever.